Hey up and welcome. It's Front Row Racing DP here, and as you may be able to tell, I think I'm losing my voice. Either that or all the smoking I do is finally catching up with me. But anyway, right, time trial challenge. I'm setting myself. I've got on very well with Donington Park, so I've decided I'm going to set myself a time trial challenge. Try and top the leaderboards in all of the car classes at Donington Park GP circuit. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but what I am going to do is I'm going to set myself a limit of how many laps I can do. So I'm basically going to set myself a 10 lap limit in each of the cars excuse me, and just see how we get on. Now, I'm not sure exactly which is the best cars in each of the classes. I do know some of them, but I don't know all of them. So I'll have to see how we get on. We've got Ariel Atoms topping the timesheet here, but I have been told that the Gumper Apollo is very, very fast. So let's see. Both cars are in the 28, so I'm going to go with the Gumper Apollo then. I've not driven that or the Ariel Atom, so we'll have to see how we get on. So yeah, I'm going to set myself a 10 lap limit on each of the tracks, although I may, for this first one, I might not do 10 laps because what I'm also going to try and do is I'm going to try and time it so that when I upload this onto YouTube it splits into 15-minute video clips, and then by doing that it's not as long as a video to watch. So it's going to be 10 laps or 15 minutes, whichever comes first. Now I don't know how we're going to get on, so we'll have to wait and see, but it may this may give an example of how different the cars handle, especially in standard mode. Going to get myself comfortable first. It's usually a good idea to get your seating position sorted out before you actually start driving, especially if you're using a wheel. If you're on a controller, if you're on a controller, it's not so much of a problem. Now, I did say I've not driven this car yet, so I have absolutely no idea what it handles like, what it brakes like, but we're going to find out. So the Gumper Apollo then, I've driven it on other games quite some time ago, and it was a very mental car. Oh, nice drift. Lots of power. On the other game I drove it on, it did have lots and lots of grip as well, unless you got too aggressive with it. And what I'm noticing already with this is it's very twitchy. Gentle tap of the brakes there, and it's kicking, it's locking up the rear and kicking it out. So I'm going to bang the brakes on down here and just see how much brakes I can use. Well, I was able to bang the brakes on, but not bang it down the gears. Now, if you haven't driven a car before, I mean, on one of my other videos I have said it's a good idea to slowly warm up to what a car can do, and it is, but at the same time you do need to be able to know what the car can't do. So it is worth banging the brakes on hard and see what happens, and see if you can do it. And what I've noticed with quite a few cars on this game, especially some very high powered ones, you can be quite aggressive on the brakes, but not the downshifts. See there, it was a downshift I've done that's just lost the rear end. Okay, so let's now try and focus on what we're actually going to do on the track. Like I say, we're going to do no more than 10 laps per car around the Donington circuit, trying to go through as many of the classes as possible. So yeah, 10 laps or 15 minutes. So when I split it onto YouTube, put it onto YouTube, I can split it into 15-minute videos. And the reason I've come to the Donington circuit is because I've done a few time trials and got onto the sort of top 10, top 12s, and I have taken a couple of cars around here. I think I was in 5th and 6th in 2 of them. That was the I'm trying to think, I can't remember what cars it was. Formula A was one of them. I can't remember the other one. So I figured, you know what, let's see if we can actually try topping the time screens. I say, I don't know if it'll be possible, especially with setting myself a lap limit. Now the time, I think the top time was a 10, was it a 108? Oh, was it a 128? I think it was a 128. Yes, 128.1. Now this car is seeming very, very tricky to drive, to be honest. So the front end doesn't seem to have a lot of grip. When you're trying to get it slowed down, it's got no grip either. The brakes are terrible. It locks up the rear end. And then when you try and put your foot down, it wants to spin out even more. So I'm going to try giving it a much more steering angle through the corners, see if that'll help. When I've had it on previous games, even F1 for example, struggle on a track a bit at certain corners, and it's simply because they're stuck in the rhythm of only turning the wheel a certain amount. And when you realise, actually no, I need to just turn the steering wheel more, you make the corner. Now, I'm using a Thrustmaster T300. For the most part, I've not changed any settings or master settings, but then it's all relevant to the car anyway. I mean, you have got a main setting for the wheel, but much more detailed setup in the car's own setup. In the car's own setup, so it's different for every single car. Oh, locked it up. Oh, no confidence of being able to use these brakes at all. Let's put the telemetry on so you can see just how much or how little braking I'm actually doing when it's locking up. The only thing is, on this screen I can't see how many laps I've done, but I think this is the 4th. I suppose you have to remember as well, this is a road car, so it's not going to have the grip levels of the race cars, even if it has got more power than some of them. It was just my luck though. I set this challenge to myself, and the first car I go in, I won't even get a time on the board. Now you may see that I go on and off the brakes, on and off the brakes. That's when I hear it locking up, I decide to get off the brakes just to try and make sure the traction is there. Brake nice and early this time. Just see if I can just get a time on the board at least. A little twitchy through there, but managed to hold it. This corner is a very tricky one. McLean's, I think it's called. especially in this car. It's very off camber on entry in the braking zone and then actually in the corner itself. That's one of my favourite corners on this track, that chicane. Can gain and lose a lot of time in there. Just like old hairpin, can gain or lose a lot of time in that particular corner. No, don't spin, come on, keep going. Oh, big twitch, hasn't cancelled the time though. Definitely braking nice and early for turn 1 just to make sure we can actually get it in to the corner. Now for this kink there, if you're in a car that's struggling with it, you do have a couple of options. One is do what I did then, ease off. Another is keep it floored and just dab the brakes. But you do have to be careful sometimes. I was up on that lap as well. Yeah, you do have to be careful. If you're on throttle and brake in some cars, it can unbalance the car a lot. But it is a trick that a lot of people do use. It's one that I've used on F1 many times. And on GT. GT is a game where weight transfer within the car makes a big difference. And basically what that means is when you hit the brakes, the overall weight of the car heads forwards. And that's why quite a few drivers who use the wheels, I mean, people have different driving styles. Myself, I like to be able to give a little dab of brakes at different times, just to try and give a bit of weight transfer. And it's about putting the weight on a corner of the car, trying to give it more grip. It might sound a bit daft that, but it is true. Okay, so down here this time I'm going to keep it floored. A little dab of the brake. You see it's not quite worked in this car, so you just push straight on. But you will find there are some that you can do it, and personally I do think it's the quicker way than easing off and getting back on the throttle, especially in a car. If this car could do it, it would be much better, because getting on and off the throttle is a little bit tricky. Okay, we're not going to get up to 10 laps in this particular car, and we're way off the lap time. We've got a minute and a half until 15 minutes are up, so I will complete the next lap. Excuse me. Let's see if I can get a much better lap time in. It's a very, very tricky car to drive, this. This is going to be one I'm going to have to come back to. So already the challenge is not going very well. Just got no confidence in the brakes, the throttle, the steering. I mean, you've got no confidence in what you're trying to do, you ain't going to get a lap time. I mean, that's only a slight touch of the brakes and it locks up and goes straight on. Right, Gumpert, we're gonna come back to you. Okay. Horrible car. Avoid the Gumpert Apollo if you're on a wheel, especially in time trial. Unless you could, I mean, if you can get your own setup on it, it might not be too bad. I mean, if I was in one player or multiplayer, I'd be reducing the brake pressure, and probably, I don't know, looking at a way to get more grip on the rear end of that car. Right, okay then. On to the next class of cars. Let's see what we've got. Touring cars. Okay, so the Mercedes AMG DTM, by the looks of it, is the car to go for. Okay. I wonder if that... I would guess it is that one. It says AMG C Coupe. It sounds like someone's setting off some fireworks here. Or they are on on the game. I would have thought it'd be this one. No, it won't be that one. Right, okay, we'll go with this one. I mean, it would help if the name of the car matched the name that was on the timing screen. Oh, there we go. Right, okay, so same again. 10 laps or 15 minutes, although I'm already got a minute and a half lost on this particular clip, so once I get to 30 minutes of the video, so about 12 minutes time. Although I may have to adjust that concept to just put the whole video on in a maximum of a 2-hour clip, and give myself the full 10 laps. Now, one thing I didn't do was actually look at the lap times they were getting. I was going to say the brakes felt better in this car, but I locked it up and went straight on. I think the annoying thing with that is it's not like I'm applying a lot of brake pressure. It's a tiny amount of brakes. The problem is, if you're locking it up, just putting a little amount of brakes on, there's no point in putting more on, it's just going to lock up more. I am running with no assists at all, meaning I haven't got traction control, got no ABS. I will admit though, I mean, with some of the cars, especially playing in online multiplayer lobbies, having no ABS at the moment is a big disadvantage, especially going from car to car and not knowing straight off the bat exactly what each car's capable of. It is tempting to just whack the ABS on, but I'd rather not. Okay, so this Mercedes is one of my most favourite of all time cars. Cosworth engine. I mean, these cars, they were designed solely for DTM racing, and then in the season they were going to join, the rules were changed, the car would have been illegal, so they turned them into a road car instead, which turned out to be, at the time, one of the best saloons around. Okay, this car does feel like I can manhandle it a little more. Well, I suppose you could woman handle it, although that does sound a bit dodgy. But yeah, you can manhandle it a little more, be more aggressive on the throttle, but that's because it's got nowhere near the power of that Gumper. Oh, did not like going down to second gear though. Now, those people that are watching, if you happen to see what the lap times were for this Mercedes around here, feel free to post it up in your messages so I know what I'm trying to beat. Although the way I'm driving at the moment, I'm probably not going to get anywhere near any of the times. That Gump at Apollo has dented my confidence. Like I said, in another game that I've driven that on, it was a bit of an animal, but it was a very good handling car. On this, very, very different. The thing is, I did do an online race a few days ago, and someone used the Gumpert and said it was absolutely amazing. So I don't know whether they had set up on it or whether the base setup for the track we were on was just much better than the time trial setup that is on the cars. Because in time trial you don't get to do anything with your setup, you basically drive it as it is. Come on, get around, don't go wide. Oh. Oh, do not use second gear here, the car does not like it. Coppice, I think that corner is, unless that's a corner at Silverstone. I'm not great with corner names on most tracks. Some I remember, and some I even give a name to myself. The Nordschleife. I mean, I think every corner around there has a name. But there's no way I'm going to remember them all because they're all in German and there's a lot of them to remember. So what I tend to do with the Nordschleife is actually sort of mentally break it up. I don't try and remember every single corner. I tend to just try and remember one corner, and that allows me to remember what follows it. And it tends to be things like, oh, this is the fourth gear corner. Or this is the crest, or this is the hairpin, and things like that, little things like that, just to help to get around the Nordschleife. I do like the Nordschleife, I've driven it on many games. I like to think I'm not too bad around that particular track. And someone did suggest to me that I do a track guide for it, just like I've done on Formula 1, which, you know, is a really, really cool idea, but it would take a long, long time to complete it. Get it turned in, go, go, go. Yeah, so the Nordschleife one, I mean, when it was suggested, he was only joking, thanks Kyle Perry. Yeah, he was only joking, but you know what, it's kind of played on my mind and thinking it would be really cool. It would be really, really cool. I just don't know if I have the time or patience to do it, because it'd be very different in every car. Just like driving around here on time trial, it's very different, or it's going to be very different in every car. Had to recover that then. Lost a bit of time from it as well, 2/10 down. Now on the T300 wheel, I usually tend to try and be nice and gentle and smooth with my steering. But I am finding on this game, quite a few of the cars really do need manhandling. And I've just had an interesting message pop up on my screen, something about voice activation. I'm not interested in using voice activation, so please go away. So if you didn't hear anything that I just said, then that is because the voice activation on the PlayStation did just try kicking in. So yeah, on the wheel, like on F1 and GT, I like to try and be very smooth on the steering, very precise. But on this game, it's very, very different. You do have to manhandle and be really aggressive with the wheel at times. Okay, come on, get it turned in. It's going to go wide. Should have probably gone down to second gear then. I tried being very aggressive on the brakes. I'm not so sure it worked, and I'm now out of shape for the old hairpin, and that's going to go wide, but I have to go down the gear to keep it on the road. And I've lost the 2/10 again. Okay, come on Dave, focus. Excuse me. Now, of all the corners on this track, this hairpin is my least favourite, because in quite a lot of the cars it's very tricky to get it slowed down, turned round, and the power down. This last corner is a similar nature, but is a little is a little wider. We're using all the curb there. Now when you go around the track, you can, on the wheel, feel the differences between being on the racing line and having the grip, and not being on the racing line and not having the grip. Going deep, going sideways, come back, you pain in the backside. Gone from being a second up to 2.5 seconds down. I was on a semi-decent lap then. Right, looking at the time. The next lap coming up will be the last one. Now, you know what? I'm going to just carry on and complete 10 laps. So, I won't split the video on YouTube. So it will be a long video, but it's going to have lots of different cars on it. That way I've got pressuring myself into, right, this next lap has got to be the one. Turn it in early. Can we get the power down? No, I've had to wait. There is a corner where it can deceive you into going slow around it than you can actually go. Thing is, there's only a fine line between getting the corner right and getting the corner very, very wrong. Well, yeah, this is a very nice handling car. probably find it isn't the Mercedes that tops the time screen, but it is a nice handling car. I do know that the Sierra Cosworth in online races anyway has been the faster in a straight line, but is much trickier around the corners. Ooh, that was sliding all the way through there, and that was just downshifting to third gear. Didn't even go to second. Oh, that's a corner cut. Oh no. I don't mind throwing that lap away because I did cut that corner. Okay, so the next lap will be the last lap. Now in the gun pit and in this car I haven't done any practice around here for this time trial event. I am literally just jumping in the car, let's go and do 10 laps. Okay, yes, some of the cars I have driven around here, but it tends to be the other cars in the classes. I haven't driven this car around here. Ooh, that's gonna spin for those, be careful. Right, okay, one more lap. It all comes down to that one, Dave. Fairly decent exit there. Nowhere near the apex of the corner, so I'm already down on this lap. I had to get off the throttle. Big sideways there, but we're now up on the lap. That's not going to end well. Ah, damn it. Well, one slide gets me up on the lap and the other one throws me off the track. Okay, well that's lap 10 done. So 137.7. I don't think that's going to be very good, but what I'll probably end up doing is, because this is a challenge that I am setting myself, that I want to try and top all the timing screens for all of the classes at Donington Park. So I may end up doing this quite a few times, but what I'll probably do is I'm going to go through the classes doing it like this, just 10 laps in each class. And then at some point I'm probably going to focus more of, right, okay, jump in this car and let's go and do it until we cannot do any more. Let's have another look. There is no other